Hi, it's Jen with Astro Astrology. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about Mercury going retro, and this is going to be happening on the 23rd, and it's going to be at 21 degrees of Virgo. So, and this will stay in its retrograde motion until September 14th when it gets back to 8 degrees of Virgo. So its pre-shadow period, the last time it was in 8 degrees of Virgo was on July 15th. That kind of started this whole, the themes that may have started then are going to be kind of the ongoing themes through this retrograde. So things that are going to be coming back, maybe things you've been working on, you're maybe going back and looking and fine-tuning, going back over notes, and that type of thing during this time. And then it will be in its post-shadow period until September 30th. So it's going to go direct on the 14th. Post-shadow ends on the 30th. So what else do we have going on this day? So big shout out to all you Virgos out there, because the sun is moving into Virgo at 5:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in New England. And so it's all about you Virgos. It's your time to shine. It's your season. So get out there and enjoy and celebrate yourselves. So also going on in Virgo, we have Mercury, of course, is there, and it's very happy in its dignity in Virgo, and we have Mars in the last degrees. It's at the 27th degree on this day, and then we also have Lilith in Virgo. So a lot of that mutable energy, a lot of that kind of changing and that going with the flow, that changing with the times, that like easy does it type thing, cleaning up loose ends, tying up any you know, especially thinking about this this Mercury going retrograde, you're really kind of fine-tuning, going back, rechecking things, finishing it up, and you know, really just getting down to the nitty-gritty, really getting down to business to figure out, like, okay, so is this right? Is this correct? Go back over your notes, make sure everything makes sense before you start moving forward again. So with Mars, though, on these last degrees, you might feel like you're a little bit rushed. Like you have to get something done, that your deadlines are approaching, or you have a lot of things coming up. Maybe you're a little bit scatterbrained right now. So you might feel a little bit overwhelmed, like, oh, I have so much that I have to finish. Because as it's getting to the end, before it changes signs, it's like it's doing its Mars in Virgo thing, trying to tie up those loose ends, trying to finish things off before it moves in and to start something new in Libra, which is a cardinal sign. So that's about restarting things. So, you know, you're going to feel like, I need to get this done. I need to get this done. You know, the deadline's approaching. So, it's going to feel a little bit rushed. You might feel a little bit aggravated, like if you can't get things done, because we do have a lot of planets in once Mercury moves into retrograde, we have a lot of planets in retrograde. We have Mercury, Venus, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, and Chiron all going retrograde. So that feeling of wanting to get things done, it's going to be more of like a stagnant kind of feel. We're going to have that, like, we wanted to get it done, but we're stuck. We can't move forward. You know, that kind of like our feet are in the mud and we're trying to trudge and we're pulling out, and it's just like, oh, just getting this done. It's just, there's so much to do, and there's, you know, so little time, and we have to do this, and we're just getting aggravated, and, you know, it's really, we're just having to go back and redo things over and over, rethink things. So much, you know, replanning before we can really move forward. And with Mars at the end of Virgo, really trying to get things done, trying to finish things up, you might feel a little bit aggravated. So, you know, maybe uptight, like tense. So you'll have maybe that kind of like, hold on, you know, I'm trying to get this done, but something isn't right. I forgot something. Let me look at this again. So that's kind of might be a little bit of the theme that are going to be going on during this retrograde motion. all planets, go retrograde from time to time in their cycle. Mercury does always seem to be the most impactful. Everyone's, oh, Mercury's in retrograde, look out. It goes retrograde about every 4 months, so about 3 to 4 times a year. It lasts about 21 to 23 days. This one is, when it makes the conjunction with the sun that's coming in, so we have the sun moving in, with it going back, that is called an inferior conjunction to the sun. So kind of like what we just had with Venus, we had the inferior conjunction with Venus and the sun because Venus was moving retrograde, sun's moving forward, so it's, that's the inferior conjunction. And if they're opposite, so once, and that's going to be taking place on September 6th. So they are going to be conjunct then. And then after Mercury moves direct on the 14th, it will have its superior conjunction on October 20th, when it catches back up to the sun. So, after the retrograde, planets are still slow to get going. They're not just going to be like, whoop, fast speed again. So it's just going to take a little time to kind of get up and get back to its normal speed. Same thing when they're starting to slow down. So right now it's a little bit before the retrograde, so it's slowing down. Things are slowing down. Maybe our minds are slowing down a little bit. Maybe our energy could be slowing down a little bit. So we might feel that frustration coming on. We want to get going. We have the motivation. Mars is there. That motivation is there. But, mishaps, things like that keep holding us back from moving forward. So, my notes, got to fix that. So, you hear astrologers saying if your planets are moving slow, so maybe if an astrologer is doing your chart and they're reading your chart and they said, oh, you have a slow moving Mercury or slow moving Mars, that is pretty much that it's going to get into its retro period or just moving out of it, and it just all depends on where they were in the cycle at the time we were born. So, it's just not going to be, maybe you might have a little more trouble than others moving, getting things going, in just different aspects, really depending on where it falls in your chart. And, if it says, oh, it's a fast-moving planet, then that's when it's at its full speed. So you just happen to be born when it's at its full speed. So maybe if you're born during a Mercury at its full speed, maybe you think a little bit faster, maybe you process information a little bit faster, and if you're born with it getting ready to station retrograde, maybe that information processing is a little bit slower. Not a big deal, really depends on how things aspect, but just to let you know kind of the terminology people might use when they're explaining things that might sound a little bit confusing. So Mercury is known as the trickster planet. It's a non-binary planet, so it's neither a masculine or feminine. It's neither a benefic or a malefic. So it can be playful, yet it can be a prankster. So because it is in Virgo, expect maybe setbacks when, during the retrograde, when it comes to communications. So maybe, your phone keeps going out. So maybe your cell phone connections aren't going to be so great as you're trying to talk. Maybe, other things going on with electronics. Maybe your internet's going to be spotty, text not going through right, everything kind of taking a little bit of time to move forward. Mercury is, he went around, passing information, giving information at a quick speed. Now that he's moving slow, things aren't moving quite so fast. So it's probably not a good time to really look into getting a new computer, maybe a new TV. You could get, a lemon. Something might not work right with it. Could take a long time warming up. You could lose a lot of information. Maybe might be a good time if you do have a computer with a lot of things on it, maybe a good time to back up that information. I actually went through my phone and printed out a ton of pictures that were in my phone just in case, because they're there, but if you lose them, what are you going to do? You don't have them printed. So I went through, printed a whole bunch of pictures of my son's wedding, and just a lot of different pictures, you know, of the pets and things like that, that I kind of wanted to have just in case. So good time to maybe do a couple backups on your computer, and that type of thing, just to, you know, re-keep the information and just have it ready just in case something happens. You know, beware of those Mercury retrograde sales, if there are any. You know, it could be on sale for a reason. You know, just put it off a little bit, wait until, you know, mid-September, a little bit after that, when things start moving forward again, and, you know, might that be the time that, you know, maybe you can start looking at things and start getting an idea of what you want, what kind of computer you might be looking at. Oh, do I want a laptop? Do I want a desktop? But probably don't, you know, jump and make that choice until after the retrograde is done. With the retrograde too, you might feel, you know, with the communication, that words just aren't coming out right. That things just, you know, you're trying to explain something to somebody and it's just, you can't get it to make sense. You can probably already see that with some of the things I'm trying to explain during this video. When Mercury starts going retrograde, it really messes with my head, because I already am very scatterbrained, and when this starts happening, kind of, you know, just trying to think, trying to, you know, I can't think of the right word for this, you know, that type of feel you might have. You know, I'm just trying to explain this and I just can't find the words to do it, and it's just not making sense, and oh, I'm so frustrated. But so you want to look at where this is going to fall in your chart. So where is Virgo in your chart? So if you are an Aries rising, for instance, it's going to be in the 5th house, or the 6th house. I'm sorry, that's not true. It's going to be in the 6th house. That's kind of a happy house for Virgo. Virgo's all about, you know, working and everyday chores and, you know, planning things out and really, you know, helping people, you know, doing work for people, or the people that work for you, if you have, you know, kind of represent them. Now, for me, because I am a Capricorn rising, I have Virgo in my 9th house. So, you know, it's about higher learning, and I also have on the 23rd Mars, because I have my natal Mars at 27 degrees of Virgo, and then with the transiting Mars hitting at 27 degrees Virgo, it's going to be a conjunction with my natal. So that's why it's a good idea, you know, it might be a little more impactful for me because I have these things going on, you know, right in my chart. So you want to see if there's any aspects that are going to be going on in your chart. So you always want to have your chart, check it as I'm talking, and just say, oh, you know, here's what's going on. This might be a thing. You know, is there a square to it? Is there a trine? Are things going to go a little bit more smoothly for you? So again, for me, as far as learning goes and higher learning, I've been really trying to get back into tarot. It's something I used to do a lot when I was in my early 20s, before I had kids, and, you know, I used to love it. And so I'm relearning the tarot, trying to, you know, this is getting ready to go back into this retrograde. I'm also trying to see how I can tie it in with my astrology practice, because they kind of mesh in a way. If you really look at the two, you know, a lot of the cards I'm learning, you know, okay, so you know, the swords, they're air signs, the wands are fire signs, you know, and so on and so forth. And they really kind of intertwine. So if you learn one, you could probably easily kind of intertwine with the other. So it's really going back, relearning the cards and all that, and kind of getting back into that. So it's learning, relearning, retraining my mind to kind of go about looking at the cards differently than the way I used to before I was really, you know, because I had started astrology even before I was into tarot, and oh, it was so overwhelming. I said, I am never going to learn this. And then after, you know, then I focused more on the tarot, got really into that, and then of course life happened. I got married, had kids, so that became a major focus, and then got back into astrology, and everything started to click. So, you know, I am going to, you know, it feels like once everything starts clicking, when everything's moving forward, especially with that that Mars conjunction that I'm going to be having, hoping my mind will be clear and active and able to take in this information and process it so that I can bring the knowledge to others. Maybe you guys, I can, you know, have that as kind of maybe a series of videos kind of explaining the interaction between tarot and astrology, and, you know, once it all just starts kind of clicking. So I think, you know, I'm really getting into it. I'm really enjoying learning about it. It's a lot of fun, and it's just, it's crazy at how similar all these things kind of are, even with numerology and all that. Everything kind of is similar. So when you learn one, it's kind of easy to kind of learn another. So it's also a great time to revisit old projects, things that maybe you've been putting off. It's a good time to get back into, you know, learning about things that maybe you've kind of stopped. You know, oh, I was kind of getting into this. I'm going to look back into doing that. You know, I was getting into watercolors when I usually do oil paints, and yeah, you know what, I think I'm going to try that a little bit. And it's also a great time to kind of, you know, pick up some old books that you used to enjoy, reread them. Maybe you're going to get some new perspectives, kind of read it in a different way now that you're a little bit older, maybe that you read it once, even watch some old movies that you've seen, kind of see them in a different way. But if this is making any negative aspects, you want to watch out for, you know, things coming back to haunt you from the past. And maybe, you know, say you were working on a project that is now coming back, and, you know, your boss is saying, you know, there's errors all over this, you know, it has to be redone, you need to go back and look at these mistakes and fix this and fine-tune it. So it's, again, fine-tuning that Virgo, getting back, re-going over your notes, relearning it, you know, processing it, and kind of restructuring things so that it kind of makes a little bit more sense, so that things, you know, kind of will go a little more smoothly once it starts going direct. So, you know, look at what house this falls in your chart. So again, you know, with mine, it's in my 9th house, so it's about relearning something maybe that I've learned in the past, you know. And if you're doing any online learning, you want to watch out for maybe glitches in the system. Maybe if you're, you know, uploading tests or sending emails or something like that, you might want to be careful and make sure everything goes through okay. You know, recheck your outbox to make sure that nothing's glitching up. You know, recheck, redo, and relearn. So if it's in your 1st house, they're kind of, you know, going back over maybe something with yourself, maybe fine-tuning something with yourself. If you're doing a certain exercise program, maybe you're fine-tuning like a certain muscle group, or you know, anything to that effect. Maybe kind of getting a haircut, kind of fixing it up to make it look a little more perfect. You know, if it's in the 2nd house, kind of fine-tuning those finances. Maybe you're also going to kind of go through and fine-tune your house, all your possessions. Maybe you're going to get rid of a lot of stuff, do a little bit of purging, maybe go through and organize your closets, you know, and get rid of everything, you know, for now the fall season is going to be coming up, so we got to switch things around, get rid of all the summer stuff and get the fall stuff in. If it's in the 3rd house, again, re-going over communications, rechecking emails, you know, maybe, you know, reconnecting with somebody close, recalling somebody, just kind of open that communication up with someone you might not have talked to in a while. Could also be somebody coming back in from the past there that could maybe give some closure. We talked about that with the Venus retrograde, so with these two kind of working together, there could be a lot of that in there too. In your 4th house, again, could again be going through your things, maybe touching up paint jobs, kind of, you know, going through rooms, redecorating, kind of moving furniture around, that type of thing. You know, nothing has to be over the top crazy just because something's in a retrograde motion. You know, if it's not aspecting anything huge in your chart, most likely nothing's going to happen and everything's going to go smooth. But these are, again, the themes that you might be seeing. So then in your 5th house, you know, this again could be maybe a past boyfriend, girlfriend, or past, you know, any kind of significant other that could be coming back into your life. Of course, you want to be kind of leery of this, and, you know, don't make the same mistakes, you know. Also, it could be going back on something creative. You know, maybe you, you know, whatever kind of creative juices that you have. If you make things, if you, my husband, he just got he got an old Singer sewing machine base, and he's going to make a top. So it's getting something from the past, making it new again, kind of using that creativity. So that's kind of the 5th house themes. 6th house, you know, maybe going with work, kind of, you know, fine-tuning a little bit. Kind of, you know, okay, you know, what do I want to do to make my work life better? How can I go over these projects? Looking over your day-to-day routines. How can I be, you know, how can I get things done in a better, quicker way without, you know, distractions, that type of thing. Could also have to do with your health. You know, if something was bothering you health-wise, this could be popping back up a little bit. The Mercury is kind of your nervous system, so, you know, that uncomfort level, you might want to look into that if it becomes a little bit too much. You might feel that kind of stress going on, you know, restless leg syndrome, just, you know, something just might not feel quite right. In the 7th house, you know, maybe, again, getting closure on a past relationship, maybe, you know, hooking back up with a past partner as far as work goes, or, you know, or even relationships, maybe going back, getting that closure from, you know, something that somebody did to hurt you in the past. You know, we have also Chiron going retrograde. We have, again, Venus retrograde. So going back over those past hurts and healing from those, you know, maybe with a marriage that didn't work out, or, you know, you had a partner in a business and that didn't work out. So maybe kind of mending fences a little bit. In the 8th house, you know, maybe going, you know, looking into past relatives, maybe there's an inheritance there, maybe kind of look back at your taxes, you know, is everything up to date, is everything paid up, and, you know, any of those taboo subjects, those subjects that, you know, that aren't everyone's favorite, kind of, you know, okay, do I have everything situated, you know, before tax season comes back up again, or whatever. So then we go into the 9th house, kind of explain that, relearning, going back on maybe a past subject that you used to enjoy, rereading things, maybe going back to a kind of religious or spiritual that you kind of let go by the wayside, and you kind of want to bring that back. You know, if I haven't been to synagogue in a while, I want to go there, to church, or to kind of getting back into that spiritual or religion. 10th house, with your career, maybe kind of you want to, you know, this is also about your reputation. So it's, you know, do I want to change, you know, any kind of, you know, maybe my reputation isn't great because of something. How am I going to kind of fix that for the future? How am I going to, you know, reestablish myself? You know, fix anything that might be wrong. How am I going to reestablish myself in my career, or really establish myself in my career? Kind of heal that past. That's, you know, something might have hurt you. If something happened, and, you know, move forward. So then we have the 11th house. Maybe that's going to be connecting with, you know, groups online, maybe if you had a group on Facebook that you haven't talked about in a while, or, you know, whatever social media, kind of maybe getting back out there a little bit, reconnecting with those people. And then 12th house, maybe, you know, kind of, you know, revisiting inside yourself, meditation, yoga, you know, deep thinking, you know, maybe even visiting a loved one that maybe is incarcerated or not feeling well. Maybe they're in the hospital, or maybe they're just closed up in their house. Maybe you have a neighbor that doesn't get out very much and you want to go and visit with them, revisit, kind of, you know, reestablish that relationship. So if you don't have a chart, definitely contact me and I can get one for you, astrotastrology@gmail.com. I can give you a quick little reading with that as well. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel, and maybe if you're a new viewer, go back and watch some of these old videos during retrograde. Kind of get to know and see what you like about the videos and what you don't like. Please leave comments in the bottom section, and I want to thank y'all for watching. So have a great Mercury retrograde. See you soon.